everyone, I've got some mail here from STELR, so let's unpack it and see what's inside. My name is Constable, and today we're going to go through the ins, outs and engineering of sustainable housing. Heating and cooling a house is really important to make sure everyone inside feels comfortable, so we can all shelter from the weather no matter the conditions. Now, this kit is full of things that I can experiment with to test out my sustainable housing engineering skills, but today we're going to focus on just a few things. We're going to look at walls, windows and insulation. When it comes to making a house that is comfortable and energy efficient, there are lots of different things that an engineer could focus on. Not just inside the house, but outside the house too. So my first question is, what is the best colour for the walls on my sustainable house? So now it's time for me to set up my wall colour investigation.
So here's everything we'll need from the STELR kit. 1 cube, this will be our house, 4 insulation panels, 1 wood panel from the teacher kit, white, black, red, yellow and blue paint colour samples, a temperature sensor panel, cables, data logger, power supply, lamp to act as our sun, template for positioning the lamp, and the investigation results table.
Okay, looks like I've got everything, so now it's time for me to set up this wall colour investigation.
First, I'm placing the wood panel from the teacher's kit into the front of the cube, or house. And now I'm placing the white colour sample first against the wall so there are no gaps. In each different test, I'm going to use a different colour. On the opposite side of the cube to our wall is where the temperature sensor panel will go. I'm using the cables to connect the temperature sensor panel and the contact temperature sensor to the data logger. Now I need to connect the lamp that's going to be our sun to the 0 volt and 12 volt terminals of the power supply. Now the only thing I have left to do is to fill in the other 4 sides of my cube with those 4 insulation panels. This template allows me to place the lamp exactly 11 centimeters from the wall.
Okay, I'm all set up. Now this is the surface temperature sensor. This is actually supposed to tell us not about the heat of our house or the heat of the sun in this whole area here. We want to know about the ambient temperature. And so it's important that I put this in a space that is away from the house or the cube and the sun or the lamp. So I will put mine over here. The other thing I've got is my tablet, because I will be making note of these temperature changes as we go on here, but I'll put that up on screen for you as well so that you can follow along and compare the way that these different coloured walls behave, or the way that they actually absorb or potentially reflect some of this heat back. All right, let's get this show on the road.
Remember that even after you turn the lamp off, it will still keep giving out heat. So to avoid this having an impact on your results, move it away.
Now, while I move on to my next colour, you can check this out.
Animals can be master engineers, and some even expert decorators. Male bowerbirds use twigs and grasses to make these beautiful structures called a bower. You might think a bower looks pretty impressive, but to really impress the female bowerbird, the male bowerbird collects as many blue things as he can find as a decoration. Sometimes that means stealing from a neighbour who's out. That's a bit cheeky. In nature, blue is pretty hard to find, so it's no wonder that females are impressed by it. Who said chivalry is dead? Humans are the only animals that use colour when thinking about engineering. How deadly is that?
Okay, it's time for the moment of engineering truth. I'm about to share with you on screen my results of which of these colours performed best in our sustainable house.
When the wall of our house was white, it stayed cooler than with the other colours. When we used a black wall, the house got hotter than with the other colours. White light is made up of all colours: red, orange, yellow, blue, indigo and violet. So white surfaces, like our white wall, reflect light in all those colours. So you might begin to see why white meant our house was cooler and black meant our house got hotter.
Maybe your results were different to mine, and that's okay too, because there is lots of room for variation even when we try to control everything. And it's important you ask yourself those questions. What was different between my experiment and yours? Were you using the same shades, for instance, of these different colours? Were you doing your experiment in a different place to mine? And was there a lot of airflow or not much airflow at all? Were you near a window? Were you maybe doing this experiment without using the template, or with your sun and house a bit further apart or closer together than mine? All of these questions are an important part of the engineering process, and when it comes to engineering sustainable houses, engineers use these sorts of little mini models all the time to come up with how things might perform in the real world. But it is important for you to be able to think as an engineer about what might be different between the tests you're running and the actual house. So, what do you think might be the difference between doing this on a tiny scale and on a big house? Is the sun going to come in at this angle? Maybe it is where your house is. Maybe it's not. All important questions, and questions always lead to more questions.